Oh, dear Heavenly Father, Lord and Savior, this seminar is about getting out of debt, Lord. And I think about your words, Lord, Jeremiah, especially the 32nd chapter, 17 verse, when you say, oh, heavenly, our sovereign Lord, you've made the heavens and the earth by your great power and outstretched arms. Nothing is too hard for you, dear Father. Oh, Lord God, you have made the heavens and the earth with your great power and your outstretched arms. And Lord, I know that you didn't intend for us to be in debt. So Lord, we know that if we apply ourselves, nothing's too hard for you. And with your grace, we can get out of debt. And today, Lord, the seminar is about showing people how to get out of the debt. So I'm hoping that this technique will be helpful to members of Third Baptist, those who need it. In your precious name, amen.
Amen.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and switch to the sharing the screen. Let's see if I can. Okay. Can you see it?
I can.
All right. All right. We're going to start at the beginning. All right. So super. So this seminar is about getting out of debt. Two people are waiting, so I'm going to let them in. Amit, Angela Holloway is coming in, and you and Pastor, let's see. Okay, I think everybody's in.
Yeah, I see 4 participants.
Okay, let me go back to the presentation here. All right, the seminar this afternoon is getting out of debt. All right, let's get started. I started off by going to the census data to just try to get a good feel for the demographics of debt in this nation. And if you see on this slide, I found this one slide because I liked it because it not only shows the demographics of the debt situation in America, but it breaks it out by race. And I want you to focus to the Black alone column. It says Blacks, as according to this census data, total debt is around $81,300. When we talk about secured debt, I mean home debt, business debt, vehicle debt, things that you have collateral and everything for. You can see that we have a total debt around, for homes, around 142,900, business debt 89,000, and vehicle debts on average $18,560. So you can see a lot of people are in debt in America. And then if you look at credit card debt, they said Blacks on average have about $6,682 of credit card debt. So I guess my point is debt is a huge issue. And, even though this seminar is supposed to be about, financial, you can't really have any financial savings if you're in debt. So I thought, why talk about mutual funds and stocks when people's real problem is getting out of debt? So I added this seminar for the purpose for those who need it to help them, with their situation, where they are right now. And if they're in debt, we need to get them out of debt. And then maybe we can start talking about saving. So with any further ado, I'll keep going. You follow me?
Yes.
Okay, so, I looked at those numbers and they were saying, I just pulled the numbers. You can see it highlighted in red. This is from the census data. They said for the Blacks, it's $27,640 total debt. Credit card debt, $6,682, and student loan debt, $35,000. I believe that too, because I went over there and talked to some of my frat brothers at Hampton University, and what those kids are, putting on the credit cards to go to school today, it's just unbelievable. But and medical debt and $13,250 in other debts. So you can see debt's a real big issue. So anyway, I want to share with you this technique. I call it the Avalanche Technique. I was a Primerica life insurance agent and Series 6 broker agent for the firm for 6 years. And so they had several instruments for debt. One is called Debt Watchers. And Debt Watchers was a program where I would sit down and I think it was $25 a month at the time when I was working for them. And this program will systematically help couples get out of debt. And what I really liked about that program was that it will, you put all your credit card information in there. And if, let's say your husband is the problem, you are doing pretty good, but your husband is the one that's always going out and getting in debt, it will send you a text email every time he went and spent money. Mm-hmm. And so you will have a check and balance to try to keep him in control. That was, to me, a powerful thing, because most people, it's not both of them that's messing up, it's one or the other.
There you go.
You know, it's either the husband or the wife. And but y'all are together. And if he drags you down in the debt, you're going down. So that Debt Watchers program that Primerica had, it was really good, because it will give the other partner an opportunity to say, stop it, take that back. Now but I'm using the same technique that we use in that program, and that costs $25. What I'm doing is giving it to you step by step for free. Of course, it doesn't have the features of calling your spouse and all of that, but in most cases, but you get the idea of what we're going to do here today. So here we go. Okay, this is debt stacking technique is what I'm going to share with you. I need to move this window. Oh, can I move it? Yeah, cool. It's right there over my numbers, so it was kind of hard to. All right, here we go. I can put it over here. Perfect. Debt stacking. All right, so in my example here for this seminar, I'm just saying that this person has credit card debt. We're just going to use this as an example, because obviously people have student loans, all kinds of debt. But just an illustration of how debt stacking works, I gave this person, this alleged person, a credit card debt of $6,682, which is pretty average. So I put $2,400 on a MasterCard at 12% rate of return, which is typical. And J.C. Penney's $800, because most people have one of those revolving, shopping and stuff. And I put that at 6%, which I think is a fair example. And then a Visa card of $3,483 and put that at 18%. And then most people, if they've gone to college of any type, they're going to have some student loan debt, which is usually a very low rate, like 1.5%, 2%. So I put that in there. And just the typical average college debt, about $35,700. So just as an example, are you following with me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And
yeah, I'm following too.
Oh, okay, Angela. I don't see your photo, but I forgot about that. You probably laying in bed.
Yes, indeed. I got my night clothes on. I feel like that.
Well, we can't see you, so it's all good.
Good.
All right. So determine how you can pay that, debt each month. So let's say, you have the ability to put $600 a month towards your debt. So, but how do you distribute your payments? Most people make the minimum payment on each credit card. You'll never get out of debt that way. That debt will take you forever. And that's what most people do. They don't have a technique on how to get out of debt. But this is a very effective way, and I call it the Avalanche Method. And I really recommend it if you do have debt. All right, so this is how you do it. Now, in this example where we said this notional person has $6,682 in credit card debt, you take your debt and rank them by interest rate, with the highest to the lowest. So I flipped it around and put Visa at 18%. That's my first priority. Then the MasterCard would be my second priority at 12. JCPenney's at 6% would be my third. And then once I finish then I can start focusing on my student loan, hitting it as hard as I can. So you prioritize by interest rate. All right, everybody with me? Okay, so once you do that, then you, since I told you had $600, well, all of those credit cards are going to require a minimum payment, right? Everybody. So normally, Visa, MasterCard is something, $24, $48. So in this example, I put $48 is the minimum payment they would accept for Visa, $24 for a minimum payment for MasterCard and JCPenney's, and the student loan had a minimum of $100. And so you got to pay that or you're going to get, all kinds of penalties and fines. So, but if $600 available and I make the minimum on the other ones, that left in this example, $452 that I could put on the highest interest rate card, which was Visa. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. Now y'all probably already know this, but I don't know, but this is for hopefully this will be captured on video and the pastor can use it for those who might not know this technique. So at that $452 a month, it would take 8 months to pay off that credit card. That's all, 8 months, it's gone. And now, the 18%, that horrific rate that you were paying is gone. And now you can turn around and go to the next priority. In this case, it would be the MasterCard. So at $476 that you now have available out of the 600, it would only take you 5 months to pay that off. 5 months. So that's what, 8 months plus 5 months, that's 13 months. A little bit over a year, you've knocked out those two cards. And then, let's get to the next slide. Then JCPenney's with $500 a month, because again, you don't have to make the minimum payment on the Visa and MasterCard because they're gone. So that's more money you can put on JCPenney. So now you're up to $500 of the 600 available to put on JCPenney's, and it would only take you 2 months.
That's how I did it, Deacon Lambert. That's exactly what I did. After I paid off one, I took that money and I paid the others, and then I kept negotiating until I got an APR of 0%. Now I'm just paying the principal and no interest, and I'm putting as much money as I can on it to get rid of it.
Okay, well, super. I mean, so you kind of have your own version of it. Now, I've never heard of negotiating to get the interest rate down, but
because they keep offering you different credit cards. So when they offer you an APR of 0%, then you can consolidate, get rid of the high interest rate on that card and then pay the others. Now you're paying more to the principal and not the interest.
Okay, that's super too. I mean, I just showed you the pure technique, but again, there's variants of it. If you can get them to offer you 0%, why not take advantage of that, consolidate and do it that way as well. So yeah, that's a super technique, and I'm glad you shared that. So anyway, and you can see in 15 months, we knocked out Visa, MasterCard, and JCPenney's. So, I mean, I think that's just an incredible technique. A lot of people don't know how to do that. It's not like this is brain surgery. This is simple stuff, but it's very important. If you ever want to start building your finances, the first step is getting out of debt. And I've showed you in just 15 minutes, this simple technique on how to do so. I think everybody understands it. I hope you got it, Angela.
Yes, I got it.
Okay. So if I don't want to know if you need it, but just here it is. You now empowered with the knowledge on how to effectively minimize your debt and get out of debt. All right.
Hello. Hello. I have a question.
Okay. Who's this?
This is Darlene Davis.
Okay, go ahead.
So, well, two things. I really don't have any credit cards, but I do have bills. And in the example you use for the credit cards, so you're saying you make the minimum payment on all the bills, and then what's left over of the 600 that you've allocated toward them, you put that remaining balance on the highest interest rate,
Right.
right?
Yes, correct.
So, okay. So I guess in effect, you're really only making the minimum payment on those less than the highest interest rate.
Correct. Because the one that's the highest interest rate in the illustration I showed you of 18%,
Right.
that's really hurting you. You're losing a lot of money. You're paying a lot of money in interest every month. So
Exactly.
we're trying to get that one that's hurting you the most off your plate as quickly as possible. And this is a technique to do that, because the other ones were a much lower interest rate. So you want to get rid of that high interest rate first, because that's the one you're paying all the fees on.
I understand.
And so and this technique is very effective.
It sounds like it would work and not be that difficult, actually. For me, my highest debt is hospital bills. And well, I have insurance, but I had an unexpected illness that lasted a while. And although I'm much better now, by the grace of God,
Yeah.
I still, I just can't, I get so frustrated because everyone from technicians to blood work, you get bills coming from all these different areas within the hospital. I just wish there was a way I could just consolidate every possible bill of the hospital and then try to pay it.
Well, they won't let you do that?
Well, every time I try to get that information, they just tell me what's due then, like you get the bills at different times.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Well, I would try to, there are organizations that can help you with that. And
Okay.
I'm just teaching the basics here about debt stacking and the principle, which I think you have.
Right.
But there are organizations that can help you consolidate your debt and pay one payment versus, 4 or 5. Because you're not talking what we're talking about revolving credit card debt. You're talking about hospitals. That can be huge. But but I think you understand the principle.
Very much so.
But let me just tell you the story. I was working for Primerica, and I really enjoyed helping people get out of debt using their Debt Watchers program. And after about 4 or 5 years, my wife and I were at the mall, and this woman came up, and she walked up and hugged me right in front of my wife. And she goes, "Thank you so much." And, my wife, I could see her now reaching in her purse to take out that shotgun,
Oh,
and I was just saying, who is this woman? What? I mean, I was like dumbfounded because I didn't even recognize her. I didn't know who she was. But apparently when I first started with Primerica, I sold this young lady a Debt Watchers program. And she was, if my recollection's right, she was about $15,000 in debt. And so when she had paid it off, she was debt free. So she was walking up and she saw me, she walked up and hugged me. And she said, thank you so much for helping me get out of debt. And then my wife put that shotgun right back in her purse. I'm joking about the shotgun, but you know what I'm saying.
That's such a good story.
Oh, Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for saving me because I was about to get killed up in here. But anyway, I just thought about that. This is so, it seems like a small thing, but it's a huge thing when you're in debt. And this technique will save you so much money. I guess the point I want to make, if you had just paid the minimum payments on this illustration that I showed, it would have taken you over 10 years to pay off those payments. And by using this technique, we reduced it to 15 months. Mm-hmm. That's how 10 years versus 15 months. So I just want to emphasize, it's not hard. It's really kind of simple, but most people don't know it. And so I'm sharing it today. But I want to transition there because once you get out of debt, you got to change the way you think about money. Mm-hmm. And the way that I use to do that, and I don't want to go to the whole deal about budget and telling you how to manage a budget, but I want to talk about one simple concept, which is the concept of net worth. And most people don't think this way. And so I want to emphasize it because this is how I do business. And I find it really saves me a lot of problems. So what is net worth? Well, let me tell you. When you look at, see, for example, wealthy people, Donald Trump, he doesn't talk about how much money he made this year. He talks about his net worth. If you get around millionaires, people with money, they don't talk about, how much they made this year on their job. They talk about their net worth. People with money and finance talk about net worth. I always, I remember going with my father to look at buying a truck. And all he would talk about was, I can afford the minimum, I can make my payments. That's not how professional business people work. It's about your net worth. And it's just so important to align your thinking that way. And to calculate your net worth, you take all your assets, stack them together, and you subtract out your liabilities, how much you owe. And if you subtract your assets minus your liabilities, tells you the bottom line. How much am I really worth? That's as simple as it is. And I have a program through my bank that pulls in all my data every month from all sources. And it tells me my day-to-day what my net worth is. And I use that to determine of what I'm going to buy or not buy. I don't go, for example, you go to the dealer, he doesn't ask you what your net worth is. He doesn't care that you're upside down in debt. All he cares is about your FICO score. And that's just your ability to get credit. That's all he cares about. In other words, the world doesn't love us. It doesn't care anything about your financial health. All he cares about, can you finance this car? It's a terrible society we're in. If he really cared about you, he would ask you, what is your net worth? He should say, Mr. Lambert, you're upside down and your liabilities exceed your assets. Even though you make $100,000 a year, you're more in debt than you should be. You have negative net worth. Mr. Lambert, you shouldn't buy that car. But of course, he won't say that. All he's interested in is looking at my FICO score. Okay, oh, you got a 700 FICO score, whatever it is. Oh, you can afford it. And he's going to go and do the paperwork to sell that car. So I'm trying to get you to stop thinking the way the world wants you to think about FICO score. I want you to think about when you go out to make decisions in life, it should be about your net worth and whether or not this decision will help or hurt my net worth. Because in the end, one day you will no longer be able to work. And so what you have then is what you have. And to be truthful, if you're under 50 years of age right now, Social Security will not be there for you. That's what they're saying. I don't know if it's true, but they're saying Social Security is going to drop dead. I mean, it's going to start failing in a few years. And so we're probably the last generation that's going to be able to take advantage of Social Security to have that umbrella to protect us. So it's really important that people start thinking about their net worth early and make prudent decisions in life. Okay, I'm going to move on because I beat that to death.
No, that was excellent.
Okay, so, all right, so let me just show you, because I'm going to give you all a homework assignment. And I really want you to do it because, I mean, how many people already use net worth as a benchmark to make decisions? Probably
I do, actually. I do.
Okay, all right, well, good. Well, I say from my experience, most people do not. So I'm just going to show those who don't know how to do it. So you take your assets. So what's your home worth? And this is just in made up numbers, okay? Just as an illustration. So let's say your home is worth $250,000 and you got a car, it's 2 years old, but it's still, if you sold it today, you could get $16,000. Mm-hmm. And you look in your bank account, how much you in your checking and your savings, you ain't got nothing in your savings, and you don't have an emergency account, but you got, and don't have an investment account, but you do have an IRA at work or 401k or 403b, and you got $2,000 in that. And you add them all up and you see that, well, if you looked at $268,400, not bad. But now you have to look at how much you owe. Okay, even though you have the house and it's worth 250,000, if you had to sell it today, if you had to sell it today, then you have to pay off what you owe. So you still owe 245,000 on your note. So really, you only have $5,000 of equity in the house. But a lot of people don't think that way. But this forces you to think this way. Your car, even though your car, if you had to trade it in today, they ain't gonna give you but 16,000 for it. But to be truthful, you owe 18,000. So you upside down 2,000 in your car. A lot of people are upside down in their car because of the way they've got their payments. It's depreciating faster than what you owe. And then your total liability in this case, if you add those numbers, 263,000. So this person's net worth is $5,400. That is positive. At least it's not negative. A lot of people, when they do the math here, they're negative. So your homework assignment, I want each of you to just figure out, add up your assets. You might have different numbers than this. This is just an illustration. And then add up your liabilities and subtract the two and see what your net worth is. See where you are. It's very important because when I go out today, everything I do, I want to go on a vacation. Should I go on a vacation this summer? And I go, look, oh, Doc, your net worth was this last year and it hasn't gone up at all. So my answer is no, I need to save. I need to get back on track. So that net worth process day to day keeps me in the right, making good decisions about my finances. I use it as my benchmark to decide what I buy and what I don't buy. How does this impact my net worth? And that's how I think. And I tell you, if you start doing that, it will get you on, it'll help you make good, prudent financial decisions that will help you in the long term get to where you want to go. So I share that with you because I think it's so important to get that in your head and start thinking that way. All right. So,
Can I ask one quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I love that layout. I jotted it down. I'm gonna do my homework, but unfortunately, I don't own a house.
Well, that's okay.
I rent an apartment. So would that go under assets or liabilities? Probably liabilities, right?
Well, it would be a liability because you don't own it.
Right.
But you still have to pay every month for it.
Okay.
And that's one, matter of fact, I have one of my children that has a home and the other one who's renting. And I keep talking to this young lady about trying to get her to start owning so she can build assets. But everybody, it's not for everybody. I don't want to talk about her, but a lot of people don't want a home. They don't want the burden of a home. But you have to understand you won't have an asset there. So everybody has to choose how they want to live. And I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but I'm just trying to get you to go through this process so you can see what your net worth is. And
I understand. And I also know that home ownership can lead to wealth. But if you don't have good credit, you can't buy a home. So I've got to.
Well, there's all kinds of programs now, but getting out of debt, this first part of this seminar goes a long way to helping you get your credit back.
Right.
Because, right now, I'm just going to say personally for me that, I don't have a mortgage anymore. I paid it off because I'm so old. But thank God, God has blessed me to be able to do that. And I can share with you techniques to how to pay off a loan faster, but that's more advanced. And then, and if anyone wants to know how to do that, who has a mortgage, we can have maybe a discussion, a private sidebar, and then I'll show you the techniques of how to minimize your amortization, because mortgages is about amortization rate. So that's more advanced, but I will be happy to share techniques on how to pay off your mortgage sooner. But that's another lesson. But right now, we're getting back to net worth. Net worth is so important. And if you get your mind thinking that way, it's going to really, so about compounding interest, about how to get out of debt, and you now know about net worth and how to use that to make your financial decisions about what you should and what you should not. Matter of fact, I talked to a person yesterday that was telling me they're about to buy the house. I was hoping they would come in to the seminar tonight because I want them to empower them with this concept of net worth, because maybe you shouldn't buy a new car, or maybe you should, I don't know, but use net worth to determine to make the decision versus what you can afford. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people can afford the payments, but really they got negative net worth. And if you're not thinking that, I'm upside down. I mean, I have more liabilities than I have assets. So if you lost your job, you will lose everything. And yet you're going out to buy a new car. So the whole idea of net worth really helps you to make prudent decisions. And I tell you, if you really want to get your finances right, you really need to start thinking that way. All right, so I'm gonna move on because I have so much more to go, and we're already 34 minutes into this presentation. All right, now I want to talk about funds.
Excuse me, Deacon
Lambert.
Christina is trying to get in.
Oh, well, let me see. Oh, I do see her now. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Okay.
All right, I'll let Christina in. Sorry about that. I didn't see it. I was so excited about talking about net worth. I didn't even see it. It should give an audio indication, but it doesn't. It's just a little icon at the top.
Oh,
Okay, Christina, are you in? I see
her, but I don't see
she might be muted.
I don't even see her microphone.
Okay, well, maybe she can hear me, and that's good enough. Maybe she can see and hear. All right, so we've talked about how to get out of debt. We've talked about net worth, the concept of net worth, and how it's so important in making your day-to-day financial decisions by measuring it against your net worth. Now I want to talk about the types. Now that I've got you out of debt, and now I've got you thinking about your net worth, now I want you to go, well, what kind of funds or accounts should be managing? Well, to start off, I mean, for more complex, lucrative people, they might want to have more than 3. But for a person who's really just getting going, I recommend 3 accounts: an emergency account, an investment account, and of course, your retirement account that you have at work. Most people are going to hopefully choose to get a retirement account at work, either a 401k, IRA, or Roth, or whatever. That's important. But an emergency account is the first account that I would build. It is the absolute foundation that I think to the other accounts. Okay. You should have, whatever you make, 3 months of your income should go into an emergency account. What I did, I started off with $50 a month that I start putting into an account. I don't put this in a savings account. If you remember my first seminar, I told you how absolutely insane it is to have money in a savings account. So we don't want to waste our money in a savings account. I would get a mutual fund account. We'll be talking about mutual funds a little later, but I would definitely put it in a mutual fund account. One of the rules of mutual funds is they have to give you the money within 7 days. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's good. It's not too easy because the emergency account, a lot of people make a mistake. They put it someplace they can get it too easy. And so they end up reaching in and using their emergency monies on non-emergency things. And that's not the purpose. This account is for emergencies. For example, 2 years ago, I developed a mechanical problem with my Avalanche, my Toyota. And it was $1,200. That was out of the blue. I wasn't ready for that. But thank God I had that emergency account. So I didn't have to go put money on a credit card. I just reached in and got my money and took care of that mechanical thing. And see, instead of it being a debt cycle, it's a credit cycle. Right. You know what I'm saying? And because most people don't have an emergency fund. So life happens. The car breaks down. Your daughter needs some money, an emergency, whatever. Life happens. And guess what? If you have that emergency account, You can reach in there and get that money for the emergency and then start building that emergency fund back up. Where if you don't have that emergency fund, now you're in a debt cycle. You pull out your credit card, now you're paying interest to the man.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're in a debt cycle versus a credit cycle. So you want to be in the credit cycle. Get your emergency fund established because life happens. I can't, I mean, it seems like when it rains, it pours. But what seems to me now that you have your emergency fund, I don't need it right now. It's just amazing. Once you're prepared for it, then it seems to me it's just, you don't have as many problems. I don't know if there's a psychological thing, but get your emergency fund. I just want to emphasize that. That's the first account I will work on. I mean, I would be doing them both, but I would definitely be putting 50, 100, I don't care if it's $10 in that emergency fund every month till you build that cash up.
Right. That is what I tell my son and daughter also, especially my son. Save some money. I don't care if it's $25 a week. Save some money.
I can't tell you the number of people come to me asking me for money. I go, wait a minute. I'm talking people my age, in their 50s, 55, 60.
Right.
And they don't have $400. They've been working for 40 plus years. What have they done with their money? I don't know. I almost want, it brings tears to me. But if you establish the habit early on of putting away a little bit, you know, my father used to say, pay yourself first.
Yes.
You work 40 hours this week at your job. You work 40 hours for the man to get this check. Don't you deserve some of it? You know, and so, and a lot of people, I guess they by the end of Friday, they broke again. I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain it, but you have to pay yourself because time is no one's friend. Before you know it, 40, 50, 60, 70. And I mean, the numbers today, if you look at the census, you know, the number of people 65 years of age at retirement age have no money for retirement. They can't retire. And it's all because they have never established an emergency account, an investment account, and a 401 or retirement account. Had they done those things, they wouldn't be in this situation. So I appeal that I plead with you that please open these accounts and do the best you can. I don't care if it's $10, but you need to have these vehicles established and start the path. And if you're in debt, if you have negative net worth, work there, work getting out of debt. Because
does it cost to open a mutual fund?
Some mutual funds have a minimum, but a lot of them do not. I started my mutual fund with $50, but I use Pioneer. But some of them have a $500 limit or $1,000 limit to start, but a lot of them do not. So, and I'm going to, in a couple more slides, I'm going to show you and recommend some mutual funds that you might want to look at. You know, and that's another part of your homework, because in the fourth seminar, which is 2 weeks, 2 seminars from now, we're going to get into mutual funds and we're going to go into a lot more detail. But this will be a precursor to get you looking at them. If you're not familiar with them, you can read the prospectus and get a feel for them. But anyway, let me get going because we're already 41 minutes into this 1 hour seminar. So again, the emergency fund, 3 months, you want to put in that account. If you make $2,000 a month, you should have, $6,000 in that account. That should be a goal. Because believe me, if you have that emergency fund, it might take a while to build up to that. But when that emergency comes, you'll be real thankful that you listened to Deacon Lambert about this. I'm telling you, it's a lifesaver. Because, it's like Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong. And it's just the way it is. So be prepared. All right. Emergency account, get out of debt, cash cycle versus a debt cycle. I talked about that. Then you want to set up an investment account. I have my investment account. I use Merrill Edge, Bank of America. You ever heard of Merrill Lynch?
Yeah.
Where Merrill Lynch, they set up a relationship with Bank of America. And so it's called Merrill Edge. They just changed the name, but it's basically Merrill Edge. But there's all kinds of investment managers out there. I'm going to name the top one. BlackRock is number one. They got $6.84 trillion. I mean, you can look it up on the New York Stock Exchange. They have exchange traded funds, ETFs. They've been around for a long time. They were founded in '88. I mean, $6.84 trillion, the outstanding company that will manage your money. I like the Vanguard group. Vanguard has been around for a long time. They were one of the first ones to come up with exchange traded funds, and they boast about low expense ratios on their funds. So they say we do it for the cheapest amount, lowest amount. So I think that's a great one to look at. I'd like for y'all to all go out and Google Vanguard Group and pull up and look at their funds, because I will be using Vanguard in my illustrations when we get to the mutual fund seminar. There's others, UBS Group. They've got $3.26 trillion in under management. I mean, a big company doing a lot of great things. So there are a lot of people that putting their money into these funds, and they're smart people. You know, here's another one, State Street Global Advisors, 3.12 trillion. And I have another account in Fidelity. They got an AUM of 3.2 trillion. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch out there. I mean, actually, there's hundreds. I just brought in a few to get you going, but I really like for y'all to look at that Vanguard one. Just go to Google, just say Vanguard Group, and up comes their perspectives and website, and pull up their portfolios and start looking at them. Because again, I will talk about them 2 seminars from now. The next seminar after this one is about whole life versus term insurance, which is a really important one. Because I'm going to tell you, you know, death, nobody knows when we're going to die. But if you die too soon, and things happen, car accidents, whatever, that is the foundation to a family. I mean, it can hold a family together having that insurance. So having life insurance.
I do have a question.
Okay.
Will you
is this
also?
Christina?
It is.
Okay.
I was having trouble.
Oh, yes,
logging
my
on,
favorite.
so.
Go ahead, Christina.
Hey, will you be going over anything dealing with stock options, trading options, or anything like that?
Ooh, you talking about puts and pools?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I could. That's an advanced, really advanced. That's an advanced seminar. I mean, I can talk about puts and pools, but I do not recommend them.
Okay.
I mean, 75% of all puts lose.
Right.
I mean, why? It's, I tell you what, we'll talk about puts and pools offline if you're interested. But
okay, and
you
one more.
really have, you are deep in analyzing trends and beta projections in stocks or whatever you're doing. And the guy who's supporting that put or pool, he's betting against you. And now granted, I'm just telling you, that's just a whole nother avenue of investment. I do not recommend that at all.
One more
stuff there.
One more thing, because I've been in the stocks for some years now, and with me self-taught, I want to also learn about the foreign exchange market, because a lot of people don't talk about the foreign exchange market.
Okay, well, I tell you what I'll do. I did include foreign exchange a little bit about in the mutual fund section about foreign exchange investments. So I will talk about that in a little more detail when we get to the mutual fund area.
Okay.
All right. But let me get through, because this was about getting out of debt and trying to get you to know the fundamentals about having investment accounts. We talked about an emergency fund, an investment fund, and now I'm showing you some of the big investment managers out there. So let me get moving here because time is rolling. Okay, here we go.
Is there a set amount one should try to invest based on their salary?
I would, that's an open-ended question. I would put away as much as I have. I mean, everybody's different, but I try to put 25% of my income in between my retirement account and my investment account. I mean, I put 25% every year, you know, because I want to retire and live a good life. But, you know, you have to look at, that's another thing you have to kind of look at. I mean, one of the things I did with Primerica was I would go in people's house and sit down and look at how much they have, how much they would have in Social Security, rate of inflation, what year you're going to retire, how long you think you're going to live. Let's say you retire at 65, you live to be 85. That's 20 years. Well, how much do you need every year? You tell me $100,000 times 20, that means you need $2 million to live to be 85, right? You know, so, I mean, it's simple math. I mean, so your your financial independent number would be when you get $2 million in your portfolio. So if you set that as a goal, then, okay, you're 35 now and you're going to 65, that's 30 years. So do the math. I've got to have $2 million. How much do you have now? Okay, but let's figure in how much your Social Security will be. But if you're 35, you probably won't be no Social Security. So I wouldn't even conclude even put no Social Security in there, because that's an iffy thing for the future. I would go, okay, in order to do that, compounded at 12%, whatever your funds are provided, then you can project how much you need to have every month to get to that $2 million, your financial independent number. I used to do that all the time for clients, but that's a deeper conversation than we're having now. But if anyone's interested in that, I don't even have the tools to do all that anymore.
Definitely,
need to go get my
definitely
license
interested. Definitely interested, because right now I'm maxing out on my 401k. Whatever they're matching, I'm matching. Like, I want it all, but it's just like, you know, at the age that we're trying to buy a house, it's just like, okay, you're trying to buy a house, you got student loans. It's definitely difficult.
Well, Christina, as you know, for the 401k, in the 2021, the upper limit contribution you can make is $19,500 per year. If you're over 50 years of old, there's a $6,500 catch-up contribution limit.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, you know, the limit for employers and employee contributions is $58,000 a year. You know, that's a 401k. But again, you can have a Roth and just a regular 401k. And I don't know if you know the difference. Maybe we can have a sidebar and talk about the pros and cons of a Roth versus a traditional. Okay. That's another conversation we could have. But anyway, let me get back to my presentation. Sorry. I was just running off numbers because I like numbers. But let me get back to here. Here we go.
Dockery, I take a financial literacy class from Bayport.
Oh, good. All right. God bless you. All right. Exchange traded funds. I love these because instead of just buying the stocks or the mutual funds and with all of the portfolios going to buy the actual shares, what they do in these ETFs, they proportionalize and play the index, the market index. And you probably heard of the Standard & Poor's 500 index. That's a very common one. So that's one of the advantages of an ETF is you have lower fees and you get the same, you know, if they got a 7% return on the index, you would get that 7% without all the cost of owning all the stocks in the index. So ETFs is a cool way to get in the market without having the high cost of owning all these stocks or bonds or whatever you're doing. But anyway, I just want to touch that a little bit. So when you look at these mutual funds, take a look at these ETFs. Individual retirement accounts, 401(k)(403)(b). I don't know if you are a teacher or a preacher or work for in the public sector, you probably have a 403(b). You know, those are controlled by your employer. But I highly recommend the Roth versus the traditional. Let me give you an illustration. You know, a 401k is a qualified plan. That means the government gives you, because it's a qualified plan, a tax break every month, you know, or every year when you go to file your returns or whatever you put in your 401k, traditional K, since it's a qualified plan. Let's say you put $10,000 in there and you're in the 30% tax bracket. So you might get a break of $2,000 or $3,000 on your income taxes when you file. So it gives you a tax break, but there's a cost for that. But for example, let's say you have $10,000 in a 401k and you have another, the exact same fund, but you designate that as a Roth 401k, same account. Let's say 15 years from now, you both have $100,000 in the account. Well, in that Roth account, it was a after-tax contribution. That means, you've already paid the taxes on that money. You are not in a qualified plan. You don't get a tax break, okay? And then versus the 401k where you do get a tax break. Well, guess what? Because he gave you, let's say you had 10,000 in there 15 years ago, now it's 100,000. Okay, well, that $90,000 of capital gains that you made, you owe him, if you're in the 30% tax bracket, you owe him 30% of that $100,000. So that means you really only have 70,000 available to you.
Mm-hmm.
Where in the Roth, since it was an after-tax contribution, all 100,000 of that money will be available to you.
Yeah.
So even though both accounts say 100, the Roth, you don't have to pay taxes. Now, there's a couple catches with the Roth. There's an income limit. I don't have the limits on top of it on my head, but it's a little bit over 200,000. If you and your spouse make filing joint, 200, I think, in 5,000. Let me look that up, see what the real number is. Okay, Roth. I'm sorry, I don't have all these numbers in my head. Why is this thing moving? Okay. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong keyboard. I have two keyboards in front of me and I'm typing on the wrong one. Okay. Roth contribution limits in 2021. I want to know the maximum income limit. Oh, I said 200,000. It's for merit, it's 198. I was off by 2,000. $198,000 for a Roth IRA. So if you exceed that amount, you can't have one. But most people are not. Also, you have to have a Roth for 5 years before you can take advantage of the tax break. So I would open a Roth account. So you can go to work and tell your employer that 401k, I like you to convert it to a Roth. That means all future contributions will be to a Roth, not a 401k, a regular 401k. So you can do that. And I really like that idea because you don't know what taxes are going to do in the future, especially the way we're spending money in this country right now. We're just, it's just deficit spending. So there's going to be an increase in taxes. Somebody's going to have to pay these taxes. Mm-hmm. So I like to have a Roth because I don't know what the tax future is going to look like. Now, I will say there's some advantages to having a regular 401k because you're going to be taxed at your after-tax retirement. So when you retire, you won't be making as much money when you retire, right?
Right.
So you'll be in a lower tax bracket. So it might not be a bad deal, but you have to, weigh the cost either way. But I would definitely understand the difference between a 401k and a Roth 401k and do a little comparison and figure out what's best for you. But anyway, I've talked about net worth today. I'm trying to keep on subject here. Anyway, we talked about the 3 financial accounts, having an emergency account, having an investment account. Angela, you still hanging with me or you gone to sleep?
No, I'm here.
And then a retirement account. So you've got to have those 3. We talked about them, the emergency fund. I beat that up. We talked about that. I guess my slides went backwards when I was hitting the button. We talked about that. I beat that up. And so that really concludes what I was going to do tonight. It's actually 56 minutes, so this is about right on time. Hopefully that y'all all got a feel for the debts, getting out of debt and the debt stacking technique I showed you. If you have some debt, this is a wonderful technique to use. I don't care what kind of debt, it's just a matter of going after the highest interest ones first. And it really doesn't matter what kind of debt it is. Debt is debt. But
I have a
backing
question.
by income is the way to go.
I
And
have a
again,
quick question.
Yes. Is this
Can-
Christina?
It is, it is. I'm sorry to interrupt, but if before you go, can you take our email address so we can have the slides?
Sure. Okay. Go
I
ahead.
can put it in the chat.
Yeah, yeah, why don't you just chat me at 897
Hold on.
4603, because I don't want to share your email address with everybody because it's personal information. But if
Okay,
you email
897.
me, 897-4603, if you text me, then I will be happy to forward this presentation to you, to
All
your
right, thank
email
you.
address.
You
That
say
would be
897-4693
4603.
and the area code?
Oh, well, yeah, it's 757. It's local. Yeah, it's just a local, but that's a good question. Yeah.
I live in Richmond, so
Oh, you
okay.
do?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, hopefully you're enjoying this seminar. We're going to have fun with this. We're just getting started. You know, the first one we talked about, which I thought was, to me, the most important one, was about
I can't believe I missed it. Is there any
compound
way I
interest.
can get that information? Because I was about to ask
I
you,
will send you
can
my
older-
compound interest briefing as well.
That
And
would
I'll
be
send
great.
you the first two that I've done. I wish I could
And
post
does
them
it
all.
do any good for older people over 50
Well,
to
I'm
take
over
advantage
50.
of
Well, I'm going to
compound
tell you.
interest?
I mean, compound interest works for anybody, anytime. But
Okay.
the real power is over time. So
Yes.
the earlier you start, the more powerful it is. So,
Right.
you know, in other words, what a person at 24 could make it $10 a month do, at 50, you need to put $1,000 a month
Right.
to have the same, to make up for that, the time, you know, so it still works. It's just you have less time to work it, right?
Right. So I can pass that part on to my children, but I want to take advantage for myself
Yeah.
as well.
It's never too late. Where it's going to help you compounding. If you're putting your money in high interest vehicles, you get you get it. You understand.
And
have
you were
less
talking
time.
about
Yeah.
insurance. You never, was that for a later date? You was talking about
Okay.
term and
Yes.
form?
My next seminar is next Tuesday. And that seminar is going to be on whole life versus term insurance.
So are your
My
seminars
favorite
on
subject.
just Tuesdays, or are they Tuesday and Thursday?
I do Tuesdays and Thursdays. So
That's why I
again,
missed Tuesday. I didn't get a link for Tuesday.
Yeah, I got today's text, but I didn't get the other ones. That's why I didn't know.
well,
It was sent to my email. The first one was sent to my email.
I didn't receive
Oh,
that
I didn't
either.
check that. Okay.
I went through the pastor and I don't know how he set it up and sent it out. I'm sorry. I just
Okay.
made it available and he set this up, and I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying I didn't have anything to do with how it was distributed. But anyway, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. So the first one was last Tuesday. This is the second one. On next Tuesday will be whole life versus term insurance. This is a powerful, powerful seminar that you really need to listen to. The fourth seminar is mutual funds. Again, the homework assignment is to go and do two things, right? The first thing is
Find your net worth.
your net worth, your assets over liabilities, right? To figure out your net worth. And the second part is I want you to go
Google Vanguard
and look at their mutual fund and read their prospectus and get a feel for the information, and come to that seminar and ask me questions, you know, when we get to mutual funds. So next Tuesday, it's going to be whole life versus term. And then Thursday, we're going to go right into mutual funds. And I'll be bringing up those Vanguard examples and talking about them. So that will really enhance your understanding after you've studied it, right? Then when you hear me talk about it, you might even be able to stump me, who knows? Okay, and then
I have one more thing before you go. Now, one of my prior jobs, I did have Vanguard. They were very good, but I want to ask you, will you ever touch on anything dealing with dividends?
well, sure. I mean, we can talk about dividends, but
Okay.
you know, dividends can be associated with mutual funds. but
Okay.
it's normally associated with stocks.
Yes,
Right. Right.
Stocks pay dividends, some don't.
Yes.
And so when we talk about stocks, we can talk about that a little bit.
okay.
Okay. All right. So, but that's the follow on. So let me run this through. I said Tuesday, what is it? Whole life versus term. Thursday, we do mutual funds. And then the following or the next Tuesday, we'll do stock investment. That will be my 5th seminar and I'll be complete. And then, you know, since I love y'all all, if there's some really burning, something you want to talk about, you know, we can go one-on-one and I'll just personally do that offline with you.
Okay.
And then you're gonna become my
because that is complicated, very complicated, and I
become my mentor.
do that. I don't think you want. I played some puts and calls with a couple with just playing with it. It is extremely difficult to understand. You need to be into statistical analysis and.
Oh God, don't talk about. I'm taking a statistics class right now. Oh God.
I mean, it is really, you know, you're guessing, you're betting against the averages. These people have done all the math equations that fund ain't going up. And so that, you know, and the fees and rates are based on whether it goes up, and you put in a call means you think the price is going to rise, or you think the price is going to fall before the break point. I mean, you really need to know what you're doing, or they're going to take your money.
Right.
So I don't we should not be talking puts and calls for this. That's an advanced stuff for people who are into financial brokers who are, I mean, you really got to be big time to be doing that. And I'm going to show you in I'm going to share with you during my stock seminar, this beautiful technique I have that's been making me money. And I think you're going to find it so much easier to make money with what I'm going to share that you will never even think about a put or a call or playing options.
Well, I'm excited. Me and Johnny are excited because we got a lot of stuff that we are trying to do. And
oh, you broke up at the end. I didn't hear the last few words, but anyway, I heard the excitement. I'm so glad that y'all are getting something out of this. I'm enjoying it, and I hope you are, and God bless you. I'll see y'all on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Again, the next topic will be whole life versus term insurance. I promise you, this is a very, very important and probably might get you a little upset because a lot of people don't really understand insurance. And when I tell you how it really works, it might make you mad at your insurance agent. So I can't take credit, but I'm going to tell you the truth about them. And you have to deal with the consequences. I don't want you to get mad at me because the truth hurts.
Oh, yeah.
The truth can hurt, but it ain't me. I'm sharing it out of love because I don't want you to keep getting swindled.
They're making money off of us.
Yeah. I mean, these instruments are designed to help them, not you.
Yep.
They're not trying to pay your death benefit. They're trying to offer you nothing, offer you everything and give you nothing. So you need to know how it works. And I'm going to explain how it works come Tuesday. And God bless you all. So thank you for your attendance tonight. And we've gone a little bit over an hour, but that's okay. God bless you all. And I'll see you at 7 o'clock on Tuesday. If the Lord